Hola clase, para este video vamos a hablar sobre los double object pronouns. Just when you thought it was safe to venture into your Spanish class, superpower is now required. Ten cuidado, aquí vienen. Tan, 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 los poderosos pronombres, the powerful pronouns. So, before we can get into the new stuff, let's review briefly. ¿Qué es un pronombre? What is a pronoun? You've learned this, but let's review it. A pronoun replaces a noun in a sentence. It can replace, number one, the subject, or number two, the object of a sentence, or, wait for it, both. So let's look at what object pronouns are. You already know what some of these are, or what they are in general. You know the direct object pronoun, DO, remember? DO, direct object pronoun. This is what the direct object pronoun expresses. It indicates who or what the subject is talking about. Note to self, not the same person as the subject. Here were your direct object pronouns. Me, te, lo for masculine singular, la for feminine singular, nos, and then los for masculine plural, and las for feminine plural. It answers the question who or what. For example, say what? Direct object pronouns answer the questions what, like what do I have, or who do I see? Think proper English, it will help. For example, let's write a few sentences using the direct object pronoun. Translate, I have it. It referring to homework, so you're going to have to remember, how do you say homework in Spanish? I'll give you a hint, it's la tarea. So in knowing that information, knowing that homework is la tarea, you need to say I have, which what is I have? And then you need to say it. La tengo. It I have. Hopefully this is all coming back to your memory. We've done this before. La is la because it refers to homework, which is feminine. La tengo. I have it. What about this one? I see you. Te veo. I see would be veo. You is te. So again, it answers the question who or what. For this one, I have it. I have what? I have it. So it is the direct object pronoun. Look at this one. I see you. I see who? I see you. So again, it answers the question what and who. So la and te are direct object pronouns. And don't worry, if you can't get this, we are going to practice a lot in clase. So how about I see them? How would you do this? First off, think of it kind of backwards. You want to put them, I see. It tells you them needs to be masculine plural. So what would you pick? Me, te, lo, la, nos, los, or las. Los is what you would pick. And then I see is veo. Los veo. Them I see. What about this one? She has it. It meaning the shirt. First off, how do you say shirt in Spanish? I'll give you a hint. La camiseta, which is feminine singular. So what's the feminine singular for it? Me, te, lo or la, nos, los or las. And then you need to translate she has. It, she has. La tiene. Not that bad. We've done this before. Okay, but direct object pronouns is not where it stops. We also have indirect object pronouns. Okay? Now, indirect object pronouns indicate how the action relates to whom, for whom, or about what. Again, it's not the same person as the subject. Your direct object pronouns, remember, look exactly like the DOPs other than lay and less are different. Instead of lo and la and los and las, it's lay and less. So me meaning myself, te yourself, lay him or herself, nos ourselves, and les themselves. Let's have some practice with this one. Again, it answers the questions to whom, for whom, or from whom. And again, yes, think proper English. It really does help. So indirect object pronouns are rarely used without a DOP, just like in English. And that's what we're kind of going to be working on in just a minute. But an example, I gave it to her. The DOP pronoun is it because it answers the question what. I gave what to her? It. The IOP is her because it answers the question to whom. I gave it to who? To her. IOP. So let's do a few sentences for you to practice. Translate. You read it to me. It meaning homework. Me la lees. So this has the IOP, the DOP, and the verb. And that's what this video is, what we're getting to working with. We're going to work with putting DOPs and IOPs in the same sentence. If you don't get it right now, don't worry. We're going to cover it a lot tomorrow, mañana en clase. Me la lees. You read it to me. Anytime you use pronouns, you kind of read it backwards. You read it to me. What about this one? I read it to you. Or I read it, sorry. This is all present. I read it to you. So you want to say, to you, it, I read. Or backwards, I read it to you. So what would to you be? Me, te, le, or nos or les. Te. Te la leo. I read it to you. Now you try. He reads it to us. It being homework, that's feminine. So you want to say to us, it, he reads. Nos la lee. To us, it, he reads. What about this one? I give it to you. You being informal, it being gift. Gift is masculine singular. Te lo doy. To you, it, I give. Woo, that's a lot of information. If you still haven't processed that, again, don't worry, we're going to cover it in class. The important thing to remember is you already know DOPs and you already know IOPs. It's just you're putting them in the same sentence, and that's what we're working with. So, the word order, contrólalo. How do we know where to put what in the sentence if we're going to use IOPs and DOPs? Well, glad you asked. The IOPs are always going to come before a DOP. And this is a great way to remember it. One possible way to remember this order, I do. You can put IOP with OP small and then do with the P small. I standing for indirect, DO for direct object. I do. When or if you ever decide to marry someone and you are standing at the altar, you will say, I do. It's probably not the best time nor place to ask yourself, do I? So think when you get married, you say, I do. Indirect always comes before direct. You never want to say, do I? At a wedding. That's probably not good. Okay, special note. The indirect object pronouns le and les change to say if they're followed by the direct object pronoun lo, la, los, or las. So look, let me give you an example. Whenever both pronouns, since you're going to have sentences with two pronouns in a sentence, if two pronouns side by side start with L, you can't have that in Spanish. So they change the first pronoun to se. So lelo becomes selo. Lela, sela, lelos, celos, so on and so forth. So anytime you have two pronouns that start with an L right next to each other, the first one has to change to se. Whoops. Okay? So, here's an example of just a sentence of the word order. The IOP, I do, the DOP comes next, and then the conjugated verb. So, te los doy. I give them to you, or if you're reading it backwards, to you, them, I give. This is always going to be the word order. I do, conjugated verb. Now, here is an example if you wanted to use the verb without conjugating it. If the verb is not conjugated and it stays in the infinitive, it's going to go from being in the back to being in the front. So, for example, quiero darte los. I want to give them to you. So the verb is going to jump to the front if you're going to leave it in the infinitive form. Okay? And that is it para este video. Tú se puedes means you can do it, or if you can do it. Gracias por escucharme, and I hope that you use this información and it wasn't too bad for you all. But we will have some practice with this mañana en clase. Gracias y adiós.